In a world that constantly pulls women in every direction, demanding perfection, comparing them to impossible standards, and pushing them to chase approval from people who don't even know their hearts, Islam offers a beautiful, liberating alternative, a path of dignity, clarity, and inner power rooted in the love of Allah. Dr. Haifaa Younis reminds us that true strength isn't measured by how loud you are, how tough you look, or how much you endure on the outside. Real strength is born in the quiet corners of the heart, in the sincerity of your intentions, and in the depth of your connection with the one who created you. Every Muslim woman carries inside her a remarkable capacity to rise after heartbreak, to remain patient in storms, to stay modest in a world that glorifies exposure, and to trust Allah when confusion surrounds her. And today, we are going to explore 7 powerful lessons, timeless principles from our Deen that can reshape how you see yourself, your struggles, and your journey to Allah. These lessons are not simply words, they are tools for transformation, reminders of your worth, and keys to becoming the woman Allah designed you to be. So open your heart, let go of the noise around you, and step into this journey of discovering what it truly means to be a strong woman in Islam. Strength begins the moment a woman realizes that her worth is not defined by the standards of society, the opinions of people, or the temporary labels the world tries to place on her, but by the eternal words of Allah, who honored her, protected her, and elevated her through His guidance. A strong woman in Islam doesn't chase validation because she understands that the one who created her has already given her a value far beyond human measurement. He has made her a servant of the most merciful, a believer whose heart carries faith, a soul capable of remarkable resilience and worship. When you truly understand that your worth comes from Allah, your taqwa, your sincerity, your intentions, your obedience, then no insult can break you, no comparison can belittle you, and no societal pressure can make you doubt who you are. Dr. Haifaa Younis often says that the moment a woman knows her purpose, she stops living for the eyes of people and begins living for the pleasure of her Creator. And in that moment, something inside her shifts. She becomes more confident, more calm, more focused, because she no longer depends on temporary words from temporary people. She depends on the one whose love and approval are everlasting. When you anchor your worth in Allah, you walk differently, you speak differently, you make choices differently, because you finally recognize that your value was never in your appearance, your status, or your achievements. It was always in your heart and the closeness of that heart to the one who shaped it. The heart is the most precious part of a woman, the place where faith grows, intentions form, and true strength is born. And this is why Islam repeatedly commands us to guard it, purify it, and never allow anything or anyone to corrupt it. Dr. Haifaa Younis often reminds us that the heart is the engine of the soul. When it is healthy, everything in your life becomes healthy, and when it is wounded or filled with negativity, everything else begins to crumble. Protecting your heart means being mindful of the conversations you allow yourself to engage in, the people you give emotional access to, the thoughts you entertain when you're alone, and the content you consume in moments of distraction. A strong woman doesn't let jealousy, envy, grudges, or comparison poison her heart. She works daily to cleanse it through dhikr, Quran, repentance, and gratitude. She doesn't let emotional impulses control her actions. Instead, she trains her heart to respond with wisdom, patience, and mercy. Protecting your heart also means recognizing your emotional limits, setting boundaries, and walking away from anything that distances you from Allah, even if it once felt comfortable or familiar. When your heart is connected to Allah, it becomes unshakable, steady, and peaceful despite what happens around you. But when your heart is left unguarded, even the smallest thing can cause pain. So the strongest woman is the one who guards her heart like a treasure, knowing that everything she does, her worship, her choices, her relationships, her character flows from it. And when her heart is protected, purified, and anchored in Allah, she becomes impossible to break. Modesty in Islam is one of the greatest sources of a woman's strength, dignity, and inner freedom, even though the world often tries to convince her otherwise. Dr. Haifaa Younis beautifully explains that modesty is not about restricting a woman, it is about elevating her, protecting her, and allowing her true beauty, the beauty of her heart and character, to shine without being overshadowed by superficial expectations. When a woman chooses modesty, she is making a powerful statement that her worth is not based on how much of her body she reveals, but on how strongly she holds to the values Allah has honored her with. Modesty empowers a woman to walk with confidence because she knows she is not being defined by the gaze of strangers, but by the sight of her Creator who sees her sincerity, her intention, and her struggle to uphold His command. It liberates her from society's endless pressure to impress, attract, or conform, and instead allows her to focus on cultivating her intellect, her akhlaq, her spirituality, and her purpose. True modesty is deeper than clothing, it is the way she speaks, the way she carries herself, the way she handles attention, the way she protects her dignity and her heart. It is a shield that guards her value and a mirror that reflects her faith. A modest woman is not weak. She is strong enough to swim against the tide, wise enough to see beyond temporary trends, and brave enough to choose Allah over the opinions of people. And when a woman embraces modesty for His sake, Allah fills her with a light, a confidence, and a quiet power that no amount of worldly glamour can ever replace. True strength for a Muslim woman is found in the quiet, unwavering decision to submit her heart, her choices, and her life to Allah rather than to the constantly shifting expectations of society, because the world will always demand more from you, always push you to change, always measure you by standards that have nothing to do with your true purpose. But Allah asks only that you worship Him, trust Him, and seek His pleasure above all else. Dr. Haifaa Younis reminds us that the moment a woman decides to align her life with Allah's guidance instead of people's opinions, she steps into a level of freedom and empowerment that the world cannot take away from her. Society will tell you how to dress, how to speak, how to live, and even how to think. It will pressure you to chase trends, chase validation, chase perfection, and chase a lifestyle that looks glamorous from the outside but leaves the soul empty on the inside. But submission to Allah brings clarity, serenity, and a beautiful inner confidence because you are no longer pulled in 1,000 different directions, you are anchored to one clear purpose. When a woman chooses Allah over society, she stops apologizing for her faith. She stops shrinking herself to fit into worldly molds, and she stops compromising her values just to be accepted. She walks with a quiet power because she knows who she is, a servant of the Almighty, guided by divine wisdom instead of human noise. Submission to Allah does not make you weak, it makes you unshakable because you are connected to the one who controls every heart, every circumstance, and every outcome. A woman who trusts Allah's path for her does not fear the judgments of people, the fear of missing out, or the fear of being different. She embraces her identity as a believer, knowing that Allah sees her sacrifices, her struggles, and the courage it takes to go against the flow. And the more she submits to Him, the more He protects her, honors her, elevates her, and places tranquility into her heart. Society might reward you temporarily, but Allah rewards you eternally. Society might praise you today and criticize you tomorrow, but Allah's love never changes. Society might give you status for a moment, but Allah gives you dignity forever. So be the woman who lives for the Creator, not the creation who measures her actions by the Quran, not by social media, who holds on to her values even when others let go, who seeks her worth in Allah's words, not in the world's trends. Because when you submit to Allah, you rise above everything that once intimidated you, everything that once confused you, and everything that once controlled you. You discover a strength that comes from certainty, a courage that comes from faith, and a peace that comes from knowing that the only one you truly need to please is the one who already knows your heart better than anyone else. And that is the kind of strength no society can ever take away. Patience is not simply the act of waiting, it is the quiet, powerful endurance that shapes a woman's heart, deepens her faith, and transforms her relationship with Allah. And Dr. Haifaa Younis often reminds us that patience is not weakness, but the very superpower that allows a believer to rise above her pain, her fears, and her trials with grace and strength. A strong woman in Islam does not live a life free of hardship. In fact, she may face more struggles, more heartbreak, more losses, and more challenges than anyone around her. But what makes her remarkable is the way she stands firm, the way she continues to move forward even when her heart is hurting, the way she keeps trusting Allah when nothing makes sense. Patience teaches her that every delay, every disappointment, every unanswered dua, and every closed door is not a punishment but a sign of Allah's wisdom, a reminder that He is preparing something better, something more beautiful, something perfectly timed in a way only He understands. Patience is not passive. It is active worship. It is the strength to restrain your anger when you want to explode, the strength to stay hopeful when your circumstances seem impossible, the strength to choose silence when responding would cause harm, and the strength to remain grateful even when your heart feels heavy. A patient woman learns to breathe through hardship, to trust Allah's plan even when it contradicts her own, and to find meaning in the waiting instead of rushing toward outcomes that may not benefit her soul. She understands that Allah tests those He loves, not to break them, but to polish them, to elevate their ranks, to cleanse their hearts, and to draw them closer to Him. And with every test she faces, she becomes stronger, wiser, and more connected to her Creator. The woman who practices patience discovers a hidden layer of herself, a strength she never knew existed. She realizes that the moments she thought would destroy her were actually the moments Allah was rebuilding her, reshaping her heart, and preparing her for blessings she once prayed for with tears. Patience allows her to handle betrayal with dignity, setbacks with calmness, and grief with faith, because she knows that nothing happens except by the permission of Allah, and that every hardship carries within it a gift she may not see yet. When people disappoint her, patience teaches her to turn to Allah. When plans fall apart, patience teaches her that Allah's plan is always better. When she feels lonely, patience reminds her that Allah is always near, listening to every whisper of her heart. A patient woman does not crumble under pressure, she blossoms in it, because she knows that with every moment she endures for the sake of Allah, she is rising in rank, her sins are being erased, and her heart is being cleansed. And as she grows in patience, she develops a calmness that others admire, a serenity that cannot be bought, and a resilience that cannot be shaken. She stops reacting impulsively, she stops worrying excessively, and she stops fearing the unknown, because patience teaches her that the future belongs to Allah, not to anxiety. She learns to let go of control and embrace surrender, understanding that what is meant for her will come to her even if the world tries to stop it, and what is not meant for her will never reach her even if she chases it tirelessly. This realization gives her a deep inner peace, a peace that turns storms into opportunities and hardships into stepping stones. Patience becomes her armor, her shield, her inner light, the quiet force that carries her through heartbreak, exhaustion, delays, and disappointments. It gives her the courage to start over, the wisdom to stay grounded, and the faith to trust that Allah is always with her, especially in the moments when she feels most alone. And when she looks back years later, she realizes that every hardship she endured with patience was actually the reason she became the strong, wise, spiritually anchored woman she is today. Because in Islam, patience is not just a virtue, it is a mark of true strength, a sign of deep faith, and the superpower that turns ordinary women into extraordinary believers whose hearts are firmly held by Allah. Knowledge is one of the most powerful gifts a woman can possess, a light that illuminates the path of her life, strengthens her faith, and equips her to navigate the challenges of this world and the next. And Dr. Haifaa Younis reminds us time and again that a strong Muslim woman understands that ignorance is the enemy of the soul, while knowledge is the weapon that empowers it, elevates it, and protects it from being led astray by falsehood, deceit, or worldly distractions. A woman who seeks knowledge recognizes that her mind, her intellect, and her understanding are sacred tools entrusted to her by Allah, tools that, when cultivated, allow her to make decisions that align with her faith, safeguard her dignity, and bring benefit not only to herself but to her family, her community, and society at large. Knowledge is not limited to the memorization of facts or worldly achievements. It encompasses understanding the Quran, the Hadith, and the principles of Islam, applying them in daily life, and striving to comprehend the wisdom behind Allah's commands, so that every word, action, and choice she makes becomes infused with purpose and guided by divine insight. The strong Muslim woman is constantly learning, reflecting, and expanding her horizons because she understands that the more she knows, the more she can protect herself from deception, manipulation, and the subtle traps of a world that often seeks to define her by superficial measures rather than the depth of her character, her intellect, and her faith. Knowledge empowers her to speak with confidence, to advise with wisdom, and to act with clarity, turning her into a beacon for those around her, a source of inspiration for younger women, and a pillar of strength for her family. It allows her to recognize what is permissible and what is harmful, what benefits her soul and what distracts it, and what decisions will bring her closer to Allah rather than further away. Dr. Haifaa emphasizes that every moment spent in seeking knowledge is a form of worship, a means of drawing nearer to Allah, and a step toward fulfilling the potential that He has placed within her. It is through knowledge that she gains the courage to question injustice, to stand firm in her principles, and to resist societal pressures that seek to diminish her role, her voice, or her influence. The educated woman does not blindly follow the crowd. She thinks critically, acts intentionally, and chooses paths that align with her values and her understanding of her faith. Knowledge allows her to engage in conversations with wisdom, to mentor others with compassion, and to contribute meaningfully to every arena she enters, whether it be the home, the workplace, or the broader community, because she knows that her words and actions carry weight, and with understanding comes responsibility. Beyond practical guidance, knowledge strengthens her heart, instills confidence, and nurtures resilience. She becomes less susceptible to fear, doubt, and confusion because she has the tools to discern truth from falsehood and guidance from distraction. A woman who values knowledge also recognizes that learning is a lifelong journey, that humility is essential, and that seeking understanding requires both patience and persistence. For wisdom is not gained overnight, and mastery comes only through dedication, reflection, and sincerity of intention. She surrounds herself with those who inspire growth, seeks mentors who challenge her intellectually and spiritually, and invests time in books, lectures, and courses that deepen her faith and broaden her perspective. Knowledge also teaches her empathy for understanding the world, people, and circumstances equips her to respond with kindness, compassion, and fairness rather than judgment, prejudice, or impulsive reactions. Through knowledge, she gains clarity in decision making, strength in adversity, and the ability to influence positive change, all while remaining grounded in the principles of Islam and devoted to pleasing Allah. Dr. Haifaa Younis highlights that many women underestimate the power of education and self improvement, but a strong woman never does. She knows that knowledge is armor against ignorance, a sword against oppression, and a shield that safeguards her mind, her heart, and her faith. It enables her to recognize the fleeting nature of worldly pursuits and to prioritize what truly matters: her character, her deeds, her worship, and the legacy she leaves behind. Knowledge empowers her to challenge misconceptions, break stereotypes, and inspire others to pursue truth and justice, all while remaining humble, grateful, and conscious of Allah's guidance in every step of her journey. It transforms fear into courage, confusion into clarity, and hesitation into confident action. A woman armed with knowledge becomes unstoppable, her life becomes purposeful, her choices intentional, and her influence profound, not because she seeks recognition, but because she understands the immense responsibility that comes with understanding and the immense reward that comes with using it in the service of Allah. Knowledge frees her from the chains of ignorance, elevates her status in both this world and the hereafter, and strengthens her connection to Allah. For when she learns, she draws closer to the one who is the source of all wisdom, the knower of all secrets, and the guide for all hearts. And in this pursuit, she discovers a power unlike any other, a deep, unwavering confidence, an unshakable faith, and a radiant strength that flows from knowing that she is prepared, capable, and guided to face the trials of life, the challenges of her community, and the tests of her heart with clarity, wisdom, and unwavering reliance on her Creator. Knowledge, therefore, is more than information. It is transformation, empowerment, and liberation. It is the greatest weapon a woman can wield, not for domination or pride, but for the service of Allah, the elevation of her soul, and the benefit of humanity. When a woman understands this, she becomes a force of faith, an agent of change, and a living testament to the immense power that comes when Islam and knowledge meet in the heart of a devoted believer. A woman whose strength cannot be measured by appearances, but by the depth of her understanding, the purity of her intentions, and the unwavering commitment to use her mind, her heart, and her voice in ways that please Allah, uplift others, and leave a legacy of wisdom, virtue, and empowerment for generations to come. Tawakkul, the ultimate reliance on Allah, is the cornerstone of a strong woman's heart, mind, and soul, and Dr. Haifaa Younis teaches that it is this profound trust in the one who controls every atom in the universe that transforms ordinary endurance into extraordinary resilience, fear into courage, uncertainty into clarity, and chaos into peace. A woman who truly embraces tawakkul understands that the world will never be entirely predictable, that life will present challenges beyond her control, that people may disappoint her, opportunities may be delayed, and outcomes may differ from what she hoped for. But in the depth of her reliance on Allah, she discovers a profound serenity that surpasses the turmoil around her. Tawakkul does not mean passivity. It is not the act of sitting idly and expecting miracles without effort. Rather, it is a dynamic balance of striving with determination, making choices with intention, working diligently toward goals, and simultaneously surrendering the results to Allah, knowing that He is the best planner, the best provider, and the all-knowing. A woman who practices tawakkul cultivates an inner strength that allows her to navigate heartbreak, disappointment, betrayal, and loss with dignity and composure, because she recognizes that no misfortune reaches her except by the permission of Allah, and that what is truly meant for her will come to her, even if it is delayed, hidden, or disguised in a way she does not immediately understand. This deep trust is not built overnight. It is forged through reflection on past trials, contemplation of Allah's promises, remembrance of His mercy, and the consistent habit of turning to Him in both ease and hardship. When a woman relies on Allah, she frees herself from the burden of anxiety, overthinking, and fear of the unknown, because she understands that human control is limited, but divine control is absolute, perfect, and just. She learns to distinguish between what is in her hands and what is in Allah's hands, taking responsibility for her efforts while leaving the outcomes to Him. And in this surrender, she discovers an unshakable peace that cannot be disturbed by gossip, judgment, failure, or societal pressures. Tawakkul strengthens patience because it reminds her that delays are not denials, that trials are not punishments, but opportunities for growth, and that obstacles are not endings but redirections toward what is best for her soul. It gives her courage to pursue what is right even when it is difficult, to speak truth even when it is unpopular, to act with integrity even when the world rewards compromise, and to forgive even when her heart aches, because she knows that Allah sees, Allah knows, and Allah will reward. A woman who embodies tawakkul does not fear rejection, loss, or failure, because her trust is in the one who never forsakes her, the one who has written her destiny with precision and mercy, and the one whose wisdom surpasses all human understanding. She becomes resilient in the face of adversity, confident in her decisions, and serene in uncertainty, because every outcome, whether perceived as good or bad, is an opportunity for spiritual elevation, purification of the heart, and closeness to her Creator. Dr. Haifaa emphasizes that tawakkul is both empowering and humbling. Empowering because it reminds a woman that she is never alone, never helpless, and never without support beyond human comprehension. Humbling because it teaches her that despite her efforts, planning, and intelligence, ultimate control belongs solely to Allah, and true reliance on Him requires surrender, humility, and faith. Tawakkul nurtures gratitude because when she trusts Allah completely, she begins to see blessings in every circumstance, recognizing that even hardship contains hidden mercy, even setbacks contain lessons, and even pain can be a source of growth and strength. It shapes her character, making her steadfast in worship, patient in trials, generous in spirit, kind in behavior, and courageous in every endeavor, because she knows that her Creator is the ultimate protector, provider, and guide. In practical terms, tawakkul inspires her to work diligently toward her goals, make thoughtful decisions, take necessary precautions, and plan for the future, but without letting worry, fear, or obsession with control dominate her life, because she understands that effort is hers and results are Allah's. Her confidence grows not from worldly power, wealth, or recognition, but from the deep, unshakable certainty that Allah is with her in every moment, hearing her prayers, guiding her steps, and supporting her in ways seen and unseen. Through tawakkul, she learns that true security is spiritual, not material. True strength is rooted in faith, not in societal approval. True freedom is found in surrender, not in resistance. She discovers that fear of the future is replaced by hope, despair is replaced by trust, and uncertainty is replaced by unwavering belief that Allah's plan is perfect, His timing is flawless, and His wisdom encompasses all things. A woman who embodies tawakkul becomes a living example of faith in action. She faces difficulties with courage, navigates challenges with grace, embraces change with optimism, and inspires those around her through the quiet power of her reliance on Allah. Her life becomes a testament to the truth that strength in Islam is not measured by how much she controls the world around her, but by how firmly she places her trust in the one who controls everything. She walks through life with a heart anchored in certainty, a mind free from the chains of anxiety, and a spirit unshakable in the face of trials, knowing that the one who holds the universe in his hands also holds her life, her fate, and her destiny, and that nothing can harm her without his permission, and nothing can benefit her without his decree. Tawakkul allows her to live fully, act wisely, love deeply, and face each moment with courage and hope, because she understands that the ultimate outcome of every effort, every struggle, and every choice is in the hands of Allah, and placing her complete trust in Him transforms her from a woman of ordinary endurance into a woman of extraordinary faith, resilience, and unshakable strength, whose heart is at peace, whose soul is fortified, and whose life becomes a shining example of what it means to be a strong Muslim woman, guided entirely by her Creator. My dear sisters, the journey to becoming a strong Muslim woman is not measured by how the world sees you, but by how Allah sees you. It is not about perfection, applause, or comparison, but about faith, resilience, and sincerity in every step you take. We have explored the 7 powerful lessons that can transform your heart, mind, and soul, from knowing your worth, protecting your heart, embracing modesty, submitting to Allah, cultivating patience, seeking knowledge, to placing unwavering trust in Him through tawakkul. And each of these lessons is a key to unlocking the strength that Allah has placed within you. Strength in Islam is quiet, steady, and profound. It is the courage to rise when you feel broken, the wisdom to act with intention, the serenity to trust Allah when the world is uncertain, and the humility to seek His guidance in every decision. Remember, every trial you face, every setback you endure, every challenge you overcome is shaping you into a woman of unshakable faith, resilience, and honor. Do not let anyone define your value. Your worth comes from Allah alone. Stand tall, speak with dignity, act with conviction, seek knowledge relentlessly, protect your heart fiercely, and trust Allah completely. Because when you anchor yourself in His love, guidance, and mercy, no storm can shake you, no hardship can defeat you, and no worldly pressure can diminish the power that lies within your soul. Go forth, my sisters, as strong, empowered, and faithful women, women whose hearts are devoted, whose minds are enlightened, and whose lives shine as a testament to the strength that comes from submitting fully to Allah, the one who never abandons, never fails, and never judges unjustly. And always remember, the strongest woman is not the one who faces life without fear, but the one whose heart is firmly tied to Allah, whose soul is unshakable in faith, and whose actions reflect the power of divine guidance in every moment of her life.